Our housekeeper, Maria, called me on November 3rd, 2023, and her voice was shaking. Miss Rachel, I found something in your sister's office. I wasn't snooping, I swear. I was cleaning behind her desk and a folder fell and. She paused. There's a check. From your parents. For $85,000. The memo line says Kidney Donor Recovery and Compensation, July 2023. I was sitting in a dialysis chair at Northwest Kidney Center. I'd been there for 3 hours. I had 2 more to go. Maria, that's impossible. Jessica told me she wasn't a match. She said she got tested in June and the results came back incompatible. Miss Rachel, there's also a letter from Seattle Transplant Services. It says she's a 6-point match. It says she's one of the best possible donors they've seen. The machine next to me beeped. The nurse came over to adjust something. I felt like I was underwater. When is this letter dated? June 18th, 2023. 5 months ago. 5 months of dialysis 3 times a week. 5 months of waiting on a transplant list where the average wait time is 3 to 5 years. 5 months of my parents begging Jessica to reconsider, of her crying about how she wanted to help but couldn't, of her showing up to family dinners with mascara-stained cheeks, talking about how guilty she felt that she wasn't a match. 5 months of lies, and my parents had paid her $85,000 anyway. But why? Why would they pay her if she didn't donate, and why would Jessica refuse when she was a perfect match? Let me take you back to where this started. Because the story of how my sister betrayed me is also the story of how I learned who my family really was. I was diagnosed with polycystic kidney disease in March 2023. I was 32 years old. PKD is genetic. It runs in families. My mother's sister died from it when she was 47. I'd been getting screened every year since I turned 25 because I knew I had a 50% chance of inheriting it. March 14th, 2023, my nephrologist, Dr. Sarah Patel, showed me the scans. Rachel, both kidneys are significantly enlarged and covered in cysts. Your GFR is at 19. That's stage 4 kidney disease, approaching stage 5. We need to start talking about dialysis and transplant options. I called my parents from the parking lot. My dad answered. Dad, it's bad. Dr. Patel says I'm going to need a transplant. Soon. Silence. Then, we'll figure this out, honey. Have they started you on the transplant list? Yeah, but the wait is years. They said living donor is the best option. Better outcomes, shorter wait. I need to ask, would you or mom consider getting tested? More silence. Rachel, your mother and I are both over 65. We're not ideal candidates. But Jessica, she's 35. She's healthy. She'd be perfect. My sister Jessica and I weren't particularly close. We'd grown up in the same house but led very different lives. She'd married a wealth management executive, lived in a waterfront home in Madison Park, drove a Range Rover. I was a public school teacher, lived in a modest condo in Fremont, drove a 10-year-old Honda, but she was my sister. And when I called her on March 16th, 2023, she cried with me. Oh my God, Rachel, of course I'll get tested, of course, whatever you need. I started dialysis in April 2023, 3 times a week, 4 hours per session. My teaching schedule had to be rearranged. I was exhausted constantly. My skin itched from the phosphate buildup. I had to follow a restrictive diet, low potassium, low sodium, limited fluids. Jessica visited me during my second dialysis session. She brought magazines and sat with me for an hour. I have an appointment at Seattle Transplant Services next week, she told me. They're going to do the blood work and compatibility testing. Dr. Morrison said the results take about 2 weeks. Jess, you don't have to do this if you're scared. It's major surgery. There are risks. She grabbed my hand. You're my sister. There's no question. I believed her. The testing appointment was June 7th, 2023. Jessica texted me a photo from the waiting room, getting poked and prodded for my favorite sister. I waited 2 weeks, then 3. Finally, on June 28th, she called. She was crying. Sobbing, actually. Rachel, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. My stomach dropped. What did they say? I'm not a match. They said something about antibodies and tissue typing. I don't understand all the medical terms, but basically my kidney would be rejected. I can't donate to you. I tried to keep my voice steady. It's okay. It's not your fault. You tried. That's what matters. I feel like I'm letting you down. I wanted so badly to help. Jess, you didn't let me down. Biology isn't something you can control. We cried together on the phone, and when we hung up, I went back to waiting, back to dialysis, back to the transplant list where I was number 847. But here's what I didn't know. Jessica was lying. Over the next 4 months, my health deteriorated. By August, I'd lost 23 pounds. I had to take a leave of absence from teaching because I was too weak to stand for full days. My savings were draining, even with insurance, dialysis, and medications cost me about $800 a month out of pocket. Jessica, meanwhile, seemed to be thriving. She posted on Instagram about a girls' trip to Napa Valley in July, a spa weekend in Whistler in August. She got her kitchen renovated, marble countertops, custom cabinets, the works. She posted photos with the caption, "Sometimes you just need to invest in your space." I wasn't resentful, or I tried not to be. She had her own life. Just because I was sick didn't mean she had to stop living. But my parents started acting strange around her. At Sunday dinner in September, my mom made a comment. "Jessica, I'm surprised you went ahead with the kitchen renovation. I thought you were worried about the cost." Jessica's face tightened. "I had some money saved, and Mark got a bonus." My dad changed the subject quickly. In October, I ended up in the ER with fluid around my heart, a complication from kidney failure. I was hospitalized for 5 days. Jessica didn't visit. She sent flowers with a card. "Thinking of you. So sorry I can't be there, crazy busy with work stuff. Love you." My mom visited every day. On day 3, I asked her, "Is everything okay with Jessica?" She seems distant. My mom's expression was hard to read. "She's dealing with her own things, honey. She feels terrible about not being a match. I think it's hard for her to see you like this." "Mom, it's not her fault she's not compatible. I've told her that." "I know. But guilt isn't always logical." That conversation stuck with me. Something felt off. Then came November 3rd. The phone call from Maria. Our housekeeper, well, my parents' housekeeper, had been cleaning my childhood home for 15 years. She was meticulous and trustworthy. My parents had given her a key to Jessica's house to water plants while Jessica and her husband were on a 2-week trip to Morocco. Maria was cleaning Jessica's home office when she knocked over a stack of folders behind the desk. When she picked them up, one fell open. Inside, a letter from Seattle Transplant Services, dated June 18, 2023. Dear Ms. Jessica Patterson, your tissue typing results indicate you are a 6-antigen match with your sister, Rachel Patterson. This is an excellent compatibility level. You are an ideal candidate for living kidney donation. Please contact our office to schedule your next appointment to discuss the donation process. Also in the folder, a check from my parents, dated July 12, 2023, made out to Jessica Patterson, for $85,000. Memo line, kidney donor recovery and compensation. And a handwritten note from my mother, dated July 10, 2023. Jessica, your father and I have discussed this extensively. We understand your concerns about the surgery and recovery time. We want to support you in doing this for your sister. This should cover your lost income, medical expenses, and recovery costs. Please reconsider. Rachel is running out of time. Mom. Maria photographed everything and texted me the images. I sat in that dialysis chair, looking at proof that my sister had lied, that she was a perfect match, that my parents had offered her $85,000 to donate, and that she'd taken the money but still refused. I didn't confront her immediately. I needed to understand first. I called Seattle Transplant Services the next day and spoke with the donor coordinator, asking about my case file. "Ms. Patterson, our records show that your sister Jessica completed initial testing and was found to be an excellent match. However, she informed us on July 20th that she was declining to move forward with donation due to personal reasons. That's her right. Donation must be voluntary." "Did she ever tell you she wasn't a match?" "No. She was very clear that she was choosing not to donate, not that she was unable to." "And did she say why?" "We don't record those conversations in detail, but I remember she mentioned concerns about surgical risks and impact on her future health, both valid concerns for any potential donor." So Jessica had lied to me, lied to our entire family. Told everyone she wasn't compatible when the truth was she was just too scared or too selfish to go through with it. But she'd still taken $85,000 from our parents. I called my mom that night. Mom, I need to ask you something. Did you pay Jessica to donate a kidney to me? Long silence. Rachel, how did you? Maria found documents at Jessica's house, a check for $85,000, dated July, with a note from you begging her to reconsider. Reconsider what, Mom? I thought she wasn't a match. My mother started crying. She made us promise not to tell you. She said it would make things worse. Tell me what? Jessica is a perfect match. 6 out of 6 antigens. The transplant team said she's one of the best donor matches they've ever seen. But after she got the results, she started panicking. Talking about surgical complications, about what if she needs a kidney someday, about missing work for recovery. So she just decided not to do it? She was scared, Rachel, terrified. And I understand that, it's major surgery. But your father and I thought if we could alleviate the financial concerns, remove that barrier, maybe she'd change her mind. We offered her $85,000 to cover lost income and expenses. We thought it was helping. Did she donate? Silence. No. She took the money and said she'd do it. But then she kept delaying, finding reasons to postpone. Finally, in August, she told us she couldn't go through with it. But by then, she'd already spent the money on the kitchen renovation, the trips. We asked for it back, and she said she'd already used it for medical consultations and recovery preparation. We couldn't prove otherwise. I felt numb. So she lied to everyone, told me and Dad and everyone else that she wasn't a match, took $85,000 from you, and spent it on vacations and countertops while I'm in dialysis 12 hours a week. Rachel, I wanted to tell you, but your father thought it would destroy the family, and Jessica begged us. She was so ashamed. Not ashamed enough to give back the money. Not ashamed enough to tell me the truth. I called Jessica on November 5th, 2023. She answered on the third ring, cheerful. Hey, how are you feeling? I've been meaning to visit. I know you're a match, Jess. Silence. I know you got tested. I know you're 6 out of 6 compatible. I know Mom and Dad gave you $85,000, and I know you spent it on your kitchen and your vacations while telling me you weren't compatible. I heard her breathing, ragged and quick. Rachel, I can explain. Explain what? That you lied to me while I'm dying? That you took money meant to help save my life and used it to renovate your house? I was scared. Her voice cracked. The surgery, there are risks. What if something goes wrong? What if I have complications? What if I need a kidney when I'm older and I only have one? So you chose yourself. Yes, I chose myself. Is that so terrible? It's my body, Rachel. I don't owe you an organ just because we share DNA. And here's the thing, she was right. Nobody owes anyone an organ. Donation has to be freely given, or it's not donation, it's coercion. But she didn't have to lie. You could have just told me the truth. You could have said, I'm a match, but I'm too scared to donate. I would have understood. It would have hurt, but I would have understood. Instead, you lied. You let me think biology failed us when the truth is you just didn't care enough to help. That's not fair. And you took $85,000 from our parents, money they scraped together thinking it would save my life, and you spent it on marble counters. I was going to do it. I really was. But the more I researched, the more scared I got, and give the money back, Jessica. What? You didn't donate. You didn't even try. Give Mom and Dad their money back. All of it. I can't. I don't have it anymore. It's spent. Then sell something. The car. The renovations added value to your house. Refinance. I don't care how you do it. But you don't get to keep money you got under false pretenses. You can't force me. No, I can't. But I can tell everyone the truth. I can tell Aunt Linda and Uncle Joe and all of Mom's friends from church and everyone at the country club. I can make sure everyone knows exactly what you did. You wouldn't. Try me. I hung up. Jessica returned $60,000 to my parents by December 2023. She claimed that was all she could recover. I don't know if that's true. My parents accepted it. But here's what happened that I didn't expect. In late November, my Aunt Linda, my mom's younger sister, the one who'd lost her sister to PKD, got tested. She was 62 years old, not an ideal donor age, but she was determined. She wasn't a perfect match. 4 out of 6 antigens. But it was close enough. I watched my sister die from this disease, Linda told me at Thanksgiving. I'm not watching my niece die when I can do something about it. The transplant happened on February 8th, 2024. Aunt Linda donated her kidney to me at Swedish Medical Center. The surgery took 6 hours. Recovery was hard for both of us. But 3 months later, my creatinine levels were normal. I was off dialysis. I had energy for the first time in a year. Aunt Linda and I recovered together, texting updates, comparing scars, celebrating small victories like walking around the block or eating a banana without worrying about potassium levels. My relationship with Jessica is effectively over. We don't speak. She didn't visit me in the hospital. She sent a card. So happy for your recovery. My parents are caught in the middle. They have Sunday dinners with Jessica and her husband. They have separate dinners with me. They've stopped trying to force reconciliation. My mom told me in April, I understand why you can't forgive her. I'm not sure I have either. But here's what I learned. Jessica's refusal taught me something important about family. DNA doesn't create obligation. Love does. Showing up does. Aunt Linda didn't owe me a kidney. She gave me one because she loved me, because she'd lost her sister to this disease and refused to lose her niece. That's family. Not the people who share your chromosomes, the people who show up when it matters. Would I have preferred Jessica to be honest? Absolutely. Would I have preferred she donate? Of course. But her refusal clarified something I'd been confused about my whole life. My sister and I were related, but we were never really family. The people who sat with me during dialysis, who researched treatment options, who got tested even when they weren't perfect matches, those are my family. Jessica is just someone I used to know who happens to share my parents. So here's my question for you. Have you ever had someone you trusted completely betray you when you needed them most? Have you had to redefine what family means? Tell me in the comments. And if you're going through something like this now, if someone you love has let you down in a moment of crisis, I want you to know. Their failure is not your fault. And sometimes the family you choose is stronger than the family you're born into. Next week, I'm sharing the story of a woman whose husband's family demanded she sign a postnup after she inherited money, and how she used it to discover what they'd been hiding from her for years. Thanks for watching. And remember, the people who show up are your real family. Everyone else is just practice.